Good afternoon, everyone. I don't know what happened. We were trying to go live, and then some reason halfway through the stream we got kicked off. But for those of you who are here, this is Carrie, aka Nerdy Girl Crates, and I'm here with my friend Dan. And it is Saturday, so we're talking manga, and we're talking about Jujitsu Kaisen. And we were just discussing the characters. We were talking about Itadori and then Megami.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I do.
But I'm actually gonna go back to like Yuji for a moment, like to
Sure.
sort of like get back to my original point, like sort of like like in whenever they address like the fact that he's athletic, they always like sort of mention the fact that it's sort of unusual,
Like
it's like
superhuman.
extra, like he's faster, he's much stronger than the average kid.
Yeah, that's why I think there's more to the story because
Yeah.
again, there's going to be spoilers in this, so if you haven't read it, but when he eats the finger, he's able to hold back the curse entity in him.
At first, at least.
Yeah, at first. I mean, there's moments when he overcomes Itadori, but I think that's like part of the reason Gojo, who we'll get into later, keeps him around because I think he might suspect something.
Yeah. Like I think that might actually have like again spoilers. I think that aspect to Yuji's character might be like have something to do with his parents because if you recall, he never met his parents. Like
Right.
he doesn't have any memories of his mom and like his dad. Like he bit he can only recall like faint memories of him.
Yeah, and I wonder if he's from like a jujitsu family like the other students.
I think it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Like we know what Megumi he is, and that gets into more details later. I know you haven't gotten there yet, but yeah, they're going to go into more details about his family. But I think if I remember now correctly, the grandfather
Yeah.
didn't the grandfather have the finger?
I don't remember that, but
Yeah. Cause I'm trying to remember how he got a hold of the finger in the first place, and I wonder if that's like the
yeah.
connection too.
Yeah, like I think oh yeah, I remember how it was. Like he actually I think it was like a little one of those little shrines, like those symbolic shrines they
Right.
have with an item like that's supposed to like ward off evil spirits. He found it in one of those, and that's how Megami came to the story because he was on a mission given to him by Gojo, my favorite
Mm-hmm.
character.
Yes, mine too.
Yeah, I love him. He's hilarious.
He is.
Yeah, so essentially in the mission, it was supposed to be really simple. It literally just take the finger out of like the shrine, which like
Right.
I
It was on the school property. That's right. It was on the school
yeah,
property.
it kind of looked. I keep trying thinking of it as like a mailbox because like that's kind of how it looked.
Right.
Yeah, so he was supposed to like essentially just grab the finger, go, and only to find that the finger was not there essentially, and that's actually like that's actually sort of one difference between the manga and the anime because like the manga that's how it starts like with Megami and with Megami like looking for the finger, but the anime actually starts with a flash forward from chapter 2
Right.
where we're like Yuji's like having a conversation with Gojo. Oh, essentially
Yeah, I think they
about
have him.
Sukuna.
He's tied up, right? And Gojo's talking to him.
I believe so, yeah.
And like I said, Megami, what I was mentioning before when we got kicked off, he's his personality is a lot different from Yuji. He's more reserved. He follows the rules, but when he meets Yuji for the first time, he's finds himself doing something he didn't expect to do, and he, like you were saying, he isn't sure why he did it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of like intuition almost. He acted
Right.
upon on like a gut feeling. Like this is essentially, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I have a feeling that I need to do this, so I'm just gonna do it. And like, which is again pretty out of character as we learn. Like as we get more into like the manga and the anime, we learn that this isn't something he normally does.
Right. And then you have Gojo, who is the instructor, kind of the mentor to these kids, and he is more rebellious, and
He's
he's always
essentially
driving.
like
Go
what
ahead.
I like to call him is like he's essentially like just like a troll in the like physical
Yeah.
world.
He kind of reminds me a bit of Kakashi, since we were talking about Naruto before. But I think he goes a little. He likes to troll, especially the principal. He likes to drive the principal nuts.
Yeah, and the old guy, I forget his name, the one
Yeah.
with the guitar.
Yeah.
Well, really, he likes to troll everyone because he does it to the students and
Yes.
other staff all the time.
He does. And yet he's got a very powerful curse technique.
Oh yeah.
You haven't gotten there yet, but later on they explain it more and how
Well, actually,
powerful
I
it could
kind of
be.
have because I have seen
Okay.
the entire anime. So
Okay.
like essentially, I've gotten to the like everything the anime is covered. Like although I've only like gotten to like around like maybe the first 18 chapters of the manga, the when it comes to the anime, like I completely like I know everything that happens up to the anime.
Okay. Yeah, beyond that there's even more they go into. And it's kind of an ability these cursed demons fear a lot. And it's
Yeah.
not something that's just passed on to anybody.
Yeah, like one thing they established like very early on is like how powerful Gojo is because literally he every time he's in battle he just like wipes the floor with every single villain.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. And he kind of takes Yuji directly under his wing because he's the one who's put himself on the line to keep him alive until all the fingers are collected.
Yeah, he does. Like he essentially again for spoilers, everyone in the school staff essentially wants to kill Yuji, like execute him. Though Gojo's kind of like since he as we learn, especially they address this a lot in Jujitsu Kaisen 0, he sort of has like a soft spot for kids. And so he kind of finds different loopholes to like keep him alive. For example, that's why he waits so long to like again spoilers or is like when Yuji quote dies and then comes back, that's why he waits so long to tell everyone else that he's actually alive.
Yeah, and he kind of does this he uses the reasoning for keeping him alive first because he convinces the school or whatever to keep him because he's able to hold on to sorry, I'm losing my track here. He's able to keep somewhat the curse entity at bay. So he figures, hey, if he could do it with one finger, let's see what he could do with other fingers. So let's keep him alive, and this way we can kill the curse energy and him at the same time by collecting all these fingers.
Yeah, essentially. Though you kind of get the feeling, like even though neither the manga or anime really says this outright, you kind of get the feeling that that's not actually true. That he really doesn't have any plans to kill Yuji.
Right. Yeah, but he's just using it right now to kind of like delay it. Because it's not just his school that's wanting to kill him. When he gets, there's other schools too that you find out about. and they're put on a mission to kind of like take him down because he's this big curse entity that is a threat to the world.
Yeah, essentially, like literally, like he's the vessel of Sukuna, who is referred to as the king of all curses.
Right.
So essentially, like similar to how Gojo is the most powerful Jujitsu sorcerer, Sukuna is essentially the most powerful curse.
Right. So it's kind of like, I know Gojo probably wants to save Yuji, but he also knows he's got to get rid of the curse entity. Otherwise, if it gets free, things are going to get really bad. And you see moments of this through both the anime and the manga where he does get out and take over Yuji.
Oh yeah.
And he just kind of hints at how dangerous he can be, but he hasn't gone full blown what he can do. Because at some points he feels like it's not even worth his time and energy.
Oh yeah, that's actually why he sends they make a joke about this a lot in both the manga and the anime, is like he often sends the kids to do his work because like just so he can like fool around. Like literally the reason he didn't take the finger himself was because he was out shopping.
Yeah. Another thing I like is when Yuji ends up going inside like the space where he interacts with the curse entity. I forgot his name again.
Yeah,
and they
Sukuna.
both bicker. Yeah, Sukuna. When they both bicker a lot, and both of them know they can't kill the other because they'll die before they complete their missions.
Yeah, like essentially, and like they bicker like this is actually you know, maybe we should actually talk about Nobara, since she actually is introduced before this happens.
Oh yeah, let's go into Nobara.
Yeah, Nobara essentially, I would say, another one of my favorites. Like she really cool character. I loved her backstory, like the whole like having how she had this like there was this older girl, like a neighbor, I believe, who she used to be really close with, and was sort of like bullied and that sort of. I'm not sure how to say that. This it's sort of like left an impression. So like Nobara is very like, because of this, Nobara is very like no nonsense, and it's like she really has very low patience to like people, to like bullies, as we see when other characters are introduced.
And even though she kind of comes off like she doesn't like the two guys in her team, she actually looks out for them a lot. But she's always
she
yelling at
reminds
them.
me a lot of my cousin, to be honest.
She's also very cocky because she hates it when they get in her way.
Yeah, like essentially that's actually kind of leads into one of the unique, I'm not sure if I would say unique, but like something that is like very, like I noticed a lot, like that it's very prominent within Jujutsu Kaisen, and that's the kids actually behave like modern day teenagers, like, and like like unlike other shonen anime, like, or manga, Jujutsu Kaisen is like really leans heavily on like the modern day aspects, like
yes,
like they're using like cell phones, and they also do like a really good job of like making the world feel like our world, but like with a secret. Essentially, like it doesn't fall into that trap of other shows where it's like, oh, we have this rare race of superhuman, only there are like millions upon dozens of them, no one knows. Like Jujutsu Kaisen doesn't do that. They're like very clear, like literally there are only like when we first start off in the series, there are only like 3 students, like essentially first years, like 3 freshmen in the entire school.
Right.
Which like which kind of like cements the fact that it's supposed to be rare.
Yeah, it's and they say that like what was it they were saying in was it Zero or something where they were going on about like there's I think there's it's because of balance or something that there isn't that many, and it's like originally it's like I also think it's bloodline.
Yeah, well, the bloodline, I'm not entirely sure how that works because it seems like
Yeah.
because they mentioned that there are only like 3 like bloodlines,
Right.
like 3 families that have that kind of like gets into a different character, but
Yeah.
essentially they mention 3 families that are like known for having like descendants, like they pass on like the Jujitsu Sorcerer gene essentially, whereas but like as for but the other sorcerers, like they kind of happen at random. So in a sense, it's sort of like X-Men, like the mutants, how it works. Like sometimes you inherit it, and
Mhm.
sometimes you just naturally develop it.
Right. And speaking of that, that's when we meet the second years, there's the character Maki, where
Yeah,
she has no curse technique ability.
yeah. I Maki is one that I found really interesting because I just kind of want to say it like he's sort of like the anti Mary Sue.
Mhm.
Sue like they established really early on that she like had to really work hard, and like she comes from one of the 3, like I forget the names
Right.
because they're not brought up all too often, but she's from one of these 3 families, and she's a twin actually.
Mhm.
She and her sister Mai are
Mhm.
only Mai developed like the gene, like the ability to see curses and like use curse energy, but Maki didn't. So she had to sort of improvise as the best way to say it. Like, and because of this, she was like shunned by her family, like often treated as lesser.
Right.
So like essentially the I would like to use like a Cinderella reference, like the like how her step family was treated Cinderella is like very similar to how Maki's actual family treated her.
Yeah, they didn't want her to go to the school. They told her her place was to with the family,
Yeah,
and
it's actually revealed that her family is the reason why she hasn't gone up in rank because
right.
in her fight, I forget what was the girl with the blue hair. I forget her name.
Oh, from the other school.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. Oh, Kazumi.
yeah.
Kazumi.
Yeah. In her fight with Kazumi like straight mentions that Maki like should be like a much higher rank, like given her like fighting ability and like she said that she could easily take out like really powerful curses all on her own. So and we learned that the reason why is because her family like kept preventing her from going up in rank. Like they kept interfering with like the school system and so on.
Right. And she kind of had to find a way to work around it. And she has those glasses that allows her to see like the cursed entities. And she developed her fighting skills because she's probably one of the best fighters out of the
Ye-
group.
yeah, she's actually one. She is one of the best fighters. In fact, like she has like I would say she's one of like the characters with the best fight scenes. Like her fight
Hmm.
with Mai is awesome in the anime.
Yeah, and you kind of feel like that's her strength, where Mai kind of falls short. Because when you get those flashbacks about their childhood, you kind of see that Maki is more the stronger one.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. True, though. Like I kind of like what they did. Like they sort of played it as like a two-sided coin because like when Maki actually leaves her family, like she like completely ditches the clan and all like the like whatever responsibilities and like essentially whatever she responsibilities were that Maki had essentially fell onto Mai. So
Mhm.
she ended up becoming essentially she ended up having to take on a lot of more burdens than she would have had
Right.
if Maki hadn't left the clan.
Correct. And other second
Which
years. I'm sorry, go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt.
I don't know, and just like like another thought that came into my mind is like that's actually part of what um fuels my sort of like resentment towards Maki
Mhm.
because like she not only was she like forced to take on those responsibilities, but she also feels sort of like abandoned by Imaki since, as we
Yeah.
saw, they were pretty close in childhood, and they had made a promise to always be there for each other. So when Maki left, Mai sort of saw that as a betrayal of that promise.
Yeah, and you kind of feel like that tension with them every time they're together. It's and I can see it from both points of view. You have Maki who really wants to prove she can do this despite not being able to see the curses, and you understand Maya with her wanting her sister to keep her promise and then leaving her with all this responsibility.
Yeah, essentially. Then, but also, so like, and we actually like kind of I'm gonna take this as an opportunity to get into one of the next characters, Panda.
Sure. Yes,
Yeah, we
Panda.
we learned all the stuff about Maki not having cursed energy. We actually learned through Panda. Like Panda's the one who says it
Yes.
to I believe he was talking to Nobara at
Mm.
the time. So Panda was like that. He's what's called like a cursed corpse. Essentially, he's like a living thing that was created using cursed
Correct.
energy. Um, so I was actually kind of no, I'm not gonna lie, I was actually kind of surprised when in the anime when I saw that he was actually like supposed to be stuffed, like a stuffed toy. I was like, damn, that's like what that must be like one realistic stuffed toy because like literally no one ever mentions the fact like if Panda is supposed to be stuffed.
I think wasn't he created by the same guy who created all those
Yeah,
other
he's created
puppets?
by the principal.
Right. And he's created other ones. I remember when he was Gojo dropped one off with Yuji when he was watching all those movies.
Oh yeah, the puncher, like
Yeah, the
it looks
punching
like a
bear or
badger.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he was like he
yeah.
had to hold him and
Essentially, it
keep
was.
him.
Yeah, this is what we mean by like Gojo's a really big troll. Essentially,
Yeah.
as a part of Yuji's training, um, Yuji had to watch a bunch of movies while keeping a certain amount of cursed energy into a cursed course that the principal had made. And if he doesn't,
He'd
essentially, the
punch him.
best way to describe it is like the badger, or with boxing gloves, would get hangry. Like, I use the term hangry because he's technically feeding off the cursed energy. So he'd end up punching him in like in the face.
Right. So he had to learn how to control his curse techniques while being distracted by movies and dealing with different emotions that would be caused by a certain type of films.
Yeah,
And every time it failed, bam.
yeah, I love the line where in the anime in particular where he says like, "How am I supposed to like have chips and soda while watching this when this thing is like punching me all the time?" And he was like, "You know what? That's true. You can't have it like." And like Gojo, like Gojo actually agrees, but like he doesn't really do anything about it. He's just
No.
like, "Oh well, suit yourself."
He probably just finds it funny.
Yeah, yeah. Although I really like that scene because there were actually a bunch of Easter eggs in like pop culture Easter eggs
Yes.
within like the movies he was watching. Like literally in the anime, this isn't the case I don't believe this is the case in the manga, but in the anime you see that Yuji's actually watching Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's watching Lord of the Rings. I think
that's
he referenced
actually
it.
what I like about the show is like there's actually I wondered like the author was a fan of Western pop culture because there's like a lot of references to like Western pop culture. I almost sometimes like forgot this was supposed to take place in Japan because of like how many references there were, or like there's Lord of the Rings. There's also like that ongoing gag about Yuji's celebrity crush on Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, that was a funny scene because I think what was it? Was that when he was talking to the one guy who kept asking what type of woman do you like?
Yeah, though it actually mentioned a little bit before that as well.
Okay.
But like literally, you actually get to see Yuji put up like a poster. Like I actually didn't catch this the first time, but you see in the anime, this isn't the case in the manga. He puts up a poster of a different woman in the manga, but in the anime, in his room, Yuji puts up a poster of Jennifer Lawrence in a bikini.
Yeah, they probably with the manga they probably had problems with right issues, but yeah, I remember the difference.
Yeah, but in the manga, he just puts up like this random like woman, but like in the anime, it's like clearly meant to be Jennifer Lawrence.
And I think the funny thing is comparing that puppet with Panda. Panda is has more of a soul, like he communicates with everybody. The other ones don't really do that too much. There's one or two I've seen that have later on. But I guess it depends on like the principal's technique.
Yeah, like I actually Panda, I don't think like he's actually supposed to be something that's very common. Like he's not a cursed corpse that's common. Like literally, the principal refers to him as like his like greatest creation.
Right.
So like he might be. So like I took that to mean like he's probably like the only cursed corpse with like an actual soul, like a personality.
Yeah, because he has feelings and everything, and he's got this bond with the second years in his class. I think they're also always putting him up to be the one who's got to do certain things, and they kind of try to. Now that he has Yuji around, he kind of like defers to Yuji.
Oh yeah, that he did that. Like I believe it was
for the competition, right?
No, like there was another task that he before that that he had Yuji along with like let me look up his name. It's the other guy who wears glasses, the blonde guy with the sunglasses.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. The oh my god, I just totally lost his name. Kento?
I think that's his name. And let me look it up.
He's always dressed to the nines with the suits and all.
Yeah. He's another really funny character because like he essentially he's the opposite of much like how Megami is the opposite of Yuji. Kento is the opposite of Gojo. He's like that really uptight suit. He would be the type that would fight in fact, he does actually find Gojo incredibly irritating. So,
Yeah.
But so do most people. But like he literally tells like I believe it's like one of the teachers of the other school, like the Kyoto school, that like there's no way she could be the bad guy because she's too weak.
Right.
It was really funny because like especially like in the anime because they over exaggerated like the expressions and all that.
Yeah, he's like Megami. He's much more serious. But he also takes his training with Yuji seriously too. The salary man, King KDI calls him the salary man.
Yeah, like though he actually like something I found interesting was that although he sort of kind of treats Yuji like a kid, he also sort of doesn't. Like, like essentially he's like, you need to listen to me. I'm the adult. However, like you can kind of tell that he has like a lot. Like he's aware. Like, how would I describe this? He has a lot more faith, like a lot more respect for Yuji than he leads on.
Yes. Yes, and you see that later on. It comes into play in a big way later on. But yeah, I think he also left the Jujitsu High to become like live a normal life and have a job, but he ends up constantly getting pulled back in either by the principal or Gojo.
Yeah, like it's sort of implied in the anime that Gojo kind of like sends him like little troll text messages or whatever.
Yeah, he's funny. Oh god, he is a troll. Now another character I love, and King KDI brings him up, is Aoi. He's the big muscular guy.
Oh,
He's the one who
Aoi Toto, yeah. He was great. Like the whole confession about like that sort of goes into the Jennifer Lawrence thing because like Yuji kind of like sort of straight up admits his like Jennifer Lawrence obsession to Odo when they were when Toto like randomly asked him what type of woman he likes.
Yeah.
Which is funny because like he asked Megami the same thing and Megami just said, "I like a woman with a strong character."
Yeah, and that pissed him off, and he ended up fighting Megami.
Yeah, whereas opposed to Yuji, Yuji answered, I like a woman like with a, like, to put it lightly, a nice behind.
Yeah.
And he brought up the example of Jennifer Lawrence, and after that he sort of like imagines like just essentially it's sort of like his own what if reality in his head where he and Yuji were best friends.
Yeah, and then it's kind of funny because he also implies that made Yuji like probably the best person for him to fight, and when they have that fight, which King KDI was talking about, it is one of the best fights, and I love how he keeps calling him brother.
Yeah, it's like at first I like here's something I actually kind of like about that is like at first Yuji has like the typical response, like he's really weirded out. It's like, hey, we just met. Like, why are you being so like chummy? I mean, like, I totally even goes as far as to say, like, oh come on, we went to the same middle school, and Yuji's like, no, he didn't. We just met a few hours ago.
Because he's living in his fantasy world still.
Yeah, essentially, like he sort of like after that moment where with the whole what's your type of woman, Odo essentially views Yuji as his ultimate bro.
Yeah.
Oh, like so, and at first Yuji is sort of weirded out for it, but then as it goes on, he's like, okay, whatever, I'm cool.
Yeah, especially when they team up.
Yeah, he's just like, I'll roll with it.
Yeah, it's like we'll just go with that one. But he's hilarious, and also I think he drives what's her name, my nuts too.
Yeah, like the whole remember when like the convention where that pop idol he's obsessed with, Takana, I
Yes.
think that's her name. He ended up dragging her against her will.
Yeah. Yeah, and when he got the autograph, his face.
That was, yeah, that's great. Like the Mappa, the animation studio is very good with like like exaggerating facial expressions. Anyone who's watched Kakagurui knows exactly what I mean.
And King KDI goes, and his fixation on his hobby waifu.
Yeah, I think that was Takana, like
Yeah.
the pop idol.
It's funny because it balances out. It's like that's one side of him, but then the other side of him is this total powerhouse.
Yeah, it's like he has like a lot of these characters have like sort of like almost like an alter ego. Like they can like switch
Mm-hmm.
between like Nobara is like a really good example of this, because like when she acts like a completely different person also when she fights, but essentially since we're talking about Toto, like where he's like really like goofy, like very essentially like almost like a jock type archetype. When he's fight, it's like a complete. It's like the flip of a dime. Like he goes in, he's like a complete badass. Like no joke. He's just like kicking ass.
Yeah, he's kind of like the Hulk to their Avengers.
Yeah, in a sense.
In a sense, like when he's Bruce Banner, he's like the otaku obsessed.
Essentially.
And then he turns into like the badass powerhouse that's gonna like it's like when Megami fought him, I don't think Megami knew what he was getting into.
Oh, for sure. Like literally, like you could tell, like he just like bashes Megami's face in, and Megami is still like, "Holy crap! What just happened?" Like,
I know, like how did this go from what kind of woman you're into to hitting me?
yeah, and it's like, and like the animation is just like great in that scene, because like you the way, if you look at Megami, you'd think he got hit by a truck.
Yeah.
Because
And
like his face is all blooded up. Like I have no clue how he can still see.
Yeah, and he's just kind of like laying there in shock afterwards, like what happened?
Yeah,
And
like
even at one point, I think Nabarro was gonna step in, and that's when Mai got in the way.
yeah, it was either Mai or Maki. I can't remember
Oh, I
which.
think it was Maki. You're right, Maki.
Yeah, kind of like going back to Maki. I just want to like make a quick reference. The sword. Remember the sword that Gojo gives Yuji at the beginning of the series, like before he
Yes,
develops his
it's like a
power.
cleaver.
I love the scene where like Maki asks for it back, because it's revealed like like they even do like the whole skit where it's like Gojo says,
He just
"Give
took it.
me that. Here you go." Oh, like he literally
Gojo's in
just
trouble.
took Maki's sword and just gave it to Yuji, and Yuji ended up losing it. Like
And
he
who's the
does like the most random shit imaginable.
who is the teacher in Toto's school that's always getting into it with Gojo?
Yeah, the woman.
Yeah, he's
Like
always trolling her to no end.
like yeah, I actually have, I pulled up a list of the characters. Let me see if I can find
Yeah, I'm
her.
not good at remember some of their names.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can like after a while I get used to it, but I'm still learning the names too. All right, Iori. I think
I
that's her
think,
name.
yeah, she's
Uta-
just, and he's always calling her too, especially on her days off.
yeah,
She's just like, oh God, not Gojo again. But that's what makes Gojo so great. He's just so like laid back and he just loves antagonizing people, but at the same time cares about the students.
yeah, yeah. Essentially, he's sort of like he's sort of like that older brother type
Yeah.
figure. Like he'll be like picking on you like sort of like bugging you all the time, but like deep down, you know he cares.
Yeah. Another second year student that's got a really odd power, I think it's Togo. He's the one where he can't say certain words. Like he can only
Yeah,
say certain words. Otherwise his power unleashes.
yeah. Oge Unimaki.
Yeah.
Yeah. That he was like an interesting and like it's so like I kind of like the way like they put a dampener on his power words is like
Yeah.
he uses words that can't hold curses to them, which just so happen to be ingredients for sushi and rice ball recipes.
And like Yuji looks at him the first time like, what?
Yeah, it's sort of like sometimes it's like he just says honestly I kind of just laugh unintentionally almost every time he speaks because it's just like they're talking really seriously and then he's just like salmon
Yeah.
or like another time like kelp or whatever or
Like ramen.
yeah bonito flakes.
Yeah.
I always laugh when he says bonito flakes. I don't know why.
Yeah, and but then when he unleashes his power, it's something else.
Yeah, essentially when he speaks normally like a
Mhm.
normal person when he's speaking regular sentences it's a lot like I think a good comparison could be like Black Bolt
Mhm.
from
From
Marv
the
from the
yeah.
Inhumans. Yeah, where it's like a complete where his voice can like just it just like completely obliterates all the enemies. Like it's not necessarily always a blast. Like sometimes it'll do different things like in so
I think he
like
paralyzes
sometimes
them too.
yeah yeah and it actually yeah it does harm to him I
Yeah.
believe like he needs to be like they make a joke about this in the movie but essentially it actually damages his throat like if he uses it too much in the anime you see like he coughs up blood.
Yes. Yeah, he like there was a one point where he has to use it to stop this other cursed entity from beating up one of his other classmates who we're going to get into later. But you could see it just like taking its toll on him while he's using this power on the creature to give his friend enough time to get away.
Yeah,
It's just that's I think the other thing is like you see with these powers, it's not easy just to have them. Like you have Yuji who's got to fight back the curse entity that's in him. Um what's his name? Megami when he conjures up the animals. I
oh
think at some point if they die a certain way, he can never conjure them again.
yeah essentially he can make like what it, like the way I understood it is like let's say he makes like a hound because
Mhm.
I keep forgetting whether or not those things are actual dogs or like if they're supposed to be wolves. Also,
Right.
I just call them the hounds. Um, essentially, he can make as many hound like he can make a hound, but if it dies, he can't. recreate that hound. He'll need to make a different one.
Right. And back to the other character, King KDI says backlash. He gets backlash when he infuses spoken words with curse energy to increase the spirit of the words balance. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, and then what's her name? Nabaru? I think she can like cause herself. She uses kind of like tools.
Yeah, I like to refer to her powers. Her powers are super cool. Like I like to refer to her powers as hard hammer voodoo.
Right.
Because essentially that's what it is. Like she can, like she even uses like the whole dolls. Like essentially, she uses a hammer and nails, and like she imbues cursed energy into like both those items, and that's actually how she fights. In the final episode, she has an amazing action scene with Yuji. Like, and she doesn't like she also uses like dolls and stuff, but we learn later on that it doesn't just need to be the dolls. Like if she has an item with like or like just something that can link her to another person, she can actually use that and like in her attacks and stuff like that. She like I believe one of the was it the blood? Like yeah, one of the enemies, like a curse, actually poisoned her with his own blood, and thus she was and she was able to actually hammer nails into herself, Elf, and that ends up like harming the curse.
Right.
Like that's how she kills the curse.
Yeah, it's like a lot of them have like really interesting powers. Even now, when you think of the ones on the villain side, they have some interesting abilities. You have that guy with the volcano head.
Yeah, like yeah, that's actually. I have his name here. Like, hold on one moment, but like that's actually kind of where you get at. Like we first learn like the sheer.
Jogo.
Yeah, Jogo. Like Jogo is actually kind of how we learn about exactly Gojo's powers. Yeah. Like just like how powerful he is, because we look like he's essentially like he's one of those. Gojo's a character who holds back essentially because like if not the fight won't be any fun, because he can just like wipe out a character
without like, breaking a sweat
with the snap of his finger.
Yeah.
Or like so yeah, at first like Ogo like when he's introduced, he's made up to be like this really menacing like there's a like he's introduced when he's with Ghetto. Oh, and he's literally burning all the people in the restaurant alive. So you get the feeling that he's supposed to be like this really powerful curse. But then in his fight with Gojo, like you just see like that just shows you like yeah, he's powerful, but Gojo is way more powerful. But like he actually said like he gets on his like Jogo loses his shit because like throughout the entire fight, because Gojo keeps referring to him as weak.
Yes. And he's just going all out and it's doing nothing.
Yeah, essentially. And like in the anime I really liked it because the one hit KO move, like how that was animated.
Yes.
That was just awesome. And he just like this is what I mean by Gojo does the most random shit imaginable. He just brings Itadori here for no reason, just like observe, watch me fight, watch me kick this guy's ass. He's pretty weak, and Itadori is just like, wait, he's weak? He's like I can sense his power, and he's like the most powerful curse I've seen yet.
Yeah, King KDI says when you first introduced to him, he thinks he's Magneto, but he fights Gojo and turns out to be the Toad. It's true. Like, he goes in thinking, I could take him, because he even, like, tells the other guy, I could definitely take him down, and then when they finally meet, he can't.
Yeah, like, kind of, like, oh yeah, that actually kind of brings it up, like, in terms of the higher grade curses, is one difference I noticed from the manga was that you can actually, the plant curse, like, you can actually understand what they're saying. But in the manga, that's not exactly the case.
No.
But in the anime, you can actually understand what she's saying.
Yeah, and then you have Mahito. He's the one with the stitches.
Oh yeah, he's the one where I believe, like, this is what he's the one who sort of manipulated that one kid.
Yes.
Was it Junpei? I think that's his name.
Yeah, because he the kid witnessed him in the movie theater killing.
Yeah, killing the bullies. And he sort of and like the what's his name, like the Stitch face guy.
Mahito.
Yeah, Mahito sort of like takes that as an opportunity to like manipulate him to like get him close to Yuji.
Yeah. Because the kid's frustrated because he was bullied and he wants to be powerful, and Mahito promises to help him do that. I think he even convinces him that Jujitsu Sorcerers are bad.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't know about convincing him, because like when he's interacting with Yuji, he couldn't clearly see like this kid, like Yuji means no harm.
Right.
But he does sort of like manipulate him into like just going all out villain at the end until like Mahito eventually like just kills Junpei.
Yeah. He's kind of like I would say his personality is kind of like sadistic. Like he enjoys doing what he's doing, and I correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he's completely a cursed spirit.
I'm not sure. Like, I know he is relatively new. Like,
Yeah.
what was it? Let me look up his name. Kento. Oh, Kento mentions that he's probably like I believe he refers to him as like a newborn curse.
Oh, okay.
So like relatively new. Like, I'm not sure if he's like entirely cursed or like he's some sort of hybrid. Like, I haven't gotten that far, but
yeah, I know. Like later on, they kind of
like,
go
he
into a
looks
little more
noticeably more human than the rest of the curses.
Yeah, because when I read, you haven't gotten there yet, but when you go on, you find out a little more about him. Like King KDI points out, he goes, I could tell you a spoiler, but it's a good part of the story, and I'm not going to spoil that for you. But yeah, as it goes on, you find out a little bit more about him, and then it's kind of like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like I like how Jujitsu Kaisen approaches like the whole lore aspect. Like, they don't like the way they approach it isn't very in your face. Like, they play it out kind of slowly.
Yes.
Yeah,
like
they
there's
often like
things
tease you a bit without even noticing it. Like, so when they do, like, when it's completely out in the open, you're like, oh, so that's what that was.
like you got to remember moments too, also earlier in the anime, because they come back and you see a different perspective on them. Even in the manga, like with Gojo and him meeting a young Megami.
Yeah.
There's more to that than you realize. And
Yeah,
later on you find out.
in the anime, I love that scene because he has like the most like Gojo has face, like he just has like the like well actually no, not his face, like the way they animate him, like they do that with like you know, like the moving fingers, like the crawly fingers,
Yeah.
like he's just like as if he's like just dying to get his hands on Megami.
Yeah. And Megami just kind of like looks at him like he's a weirdo.
Yeah, like he's like, I have no clue what the hell's going on.
Yeah, that's the other thing I do really like about both the manga and the anime is that they kind of like set up things and you don't realize it's being set up until later.
Yeah,
and you're like there's a reason for everybody being where they are at. And it's also important too, since you just saw the movie, to also read Jujitsu Zero. Because even though it focuses on a completely different protagonist, those events are going to come back.
yeah, like that. Yeah, that as per, I got that feeling while watching it. Like there's like, there is a post credit scene, so
Oh, is there?
or though, let me tell you, like it's a true post credit scene. Like it plays after all the credits are done, and it's a like super long credit scene.
Like a Marvel moment.
And like not even that, like Marvel kind of like puts the credit scene sometimes in the middle.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't need to wait that long. But this one was like, no, you need, it was like nice long 5 minutes in that chair.
Yeah, it plays a part, and what I like is there's a lot of secrets that have yet to be revealed, and you get that impression over time. Like a lot of people, not just on the bad guy side, but even on the good guy side, are kind of like holding back on information.
Yeah, like that's part. Yeah, that is sort of what plays into what we talked about earlier with Yuji. Is like you kind of get the feeling there's more to him that we know. Oh, like the
Yeah.
parents probably have something to do with it.
Right, and I
Like
think
this is
Gojo
just
might
a
know something.
hunch, but I get the feeling like it might have something to do with his mother.
Maybe.
Yeah, because like one theory I have is like maybe he could be like one of the three families. Like he could come from the three families, but Itadori, like no one seems to recognize that name.
No. And that's where I
And
wonder if maybe Gojo knows something, because Gojo's very good at keeping secrets.
yeah, Gojo is one of those characters who knows more than he like leads on.
Yeah.
Like he's actually from one of the other families.
Yeah, and you also find out later on too, like he's keeping secrets probably not just about Yuji, but also Megami.
Yeah, yeah. I learned the whole family thing actually in the movie.
Okay.
Like they don't mention that in the show or like so far what I've read of the manga.
They will. They will. They get into it.
But in the movie, they actually do mention it because he mentions that he and Yuta, the main protagonist of Jujutsu Kaisen 0, actually come from like the same Jujutsu Sorcerer family. Like they are really, 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 really distant relatives.
Yeah, and that does play on later on in the manga.
Yeah.
That's something that gets brought up again. Yeah, it's interesting because I think we only know about what so far 2 families.
Yeah, there's like a third. We have no clue.
You get into the third later in the manga.
Yeah. So, and I think that the third might have something to do with Yuji. It's like whichever parent who's like I believe it's like whichever parent was the one that he didn't take his last name from is probably the
Right.
one. If like this ends up being true, like this is just purely speculation on my part,
Hmm.
but if he is from one of those families, the one whose name he didn't take is probably from that family.
And I wonder also, and this is a theory too, this is not fact, this has not been proven, but maybe he has ties to somebody close to him already and he doesn't know it yet.
Possibly.
And that person might have not realized the connection offhand, but there was a connection when they first met. It's just a theory. I don't want to say it and then it turned out to be true and I
Yeah.
ruined it for
Is
somebody.
it like a character that's already been introduced in the
Oh
anime,
yeah.
or
Oh
like
yeah.
which one is?
I'm okay. Well, I'm gonna say I think he has some type of bond with Megami.
Interesting. Yeah. The I know one of my friends thinks like I don't know where he got this idea from. Like, I think it might just because they look somewhat similar. One of my friends thinks he's related to the principal.
Could be that too. Because, like I said, when we were talking earlier, he had something before the finger.
Yeah, yeah. Like he had like strength and like the fact that he was able to resist Sukuna. No, like before he ate more than like I believe his maximum was 2 fingers.
Yeah, and he could see the curse energy before he took the finger.
Yeah, like yeah. It's sort of like kind of like back to the X-Men, like it's implied that a lot of the, at least the ones that don't come from the families, like they activate sort of like in puberty almost
Hmm.
most,
Yeah,
which
and
is why Yuji, because Yuji mentions this, like until like he met Megami, he really couldn't see. Um, I guess it. Wait, hold on, I'm reading the chat here.
yeah, he says, I guess it's time to see Jujitsu Kaisen. Yes. Yes, it is.
Yes, it. Trust me, you're really gonna like it. Like the action in like the comedy, but the comedy's great.
Oh, yeah,
Like
the comedy's great.
yeah,
But I
especially
think it also has a nice
Gojo.
balance.
Yeah, it doesn't go overboard with the like cartooniness.
Hmm.
It's sort of like it is really balanced. Like
Yeah, there's a nice balance between like how dark and dangerous this world is, and then
yeah, like
balancing out normal, trying to be somewhat of a normal teenager in this craziness.
yeah, yeah. That's actually what I like about that is like you like the manga and the anime do show like they're still pretty much regular teenagers. They're still out they're still going to like malls and like
Hmm.
they're hanging around the city, like being at our kids. It's just like they have this secret life.
Right. And that secret life isn't downplayed. Like they get their first taste of how dangerous this world really is when they go to the prison.
Oh yeah.
So it's like it's not kind of like I find this a lot in some shonen where they kind of downplay like the severity of a situation
Yeah, so
in
sort
favor
of.
more of the comedy. This is kind of like you have that, okay, today we're being a teenager, we're texting, we're talking about girls, or we're teasing one another, and then the next moment you have this, oh my god, people are dying and I'm here and I'm there's like a sense of panic at times, like, oh, how do we do this? Okay, we gotta like regain ourselves and remember that these people are depending on us.
Yeah, I get what you mean. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's like yeah, again, that is something I really like because a lot of shows don't do that. I think, well, to be, you know, that's not the. I was going to use Seven Deadly Sins as an example, but on second thought, that's not a great example because, like, the whole reason that, like, in the first part of, like, the first season, the whole
Mhm.
reason they're kind of, like, more jokey is because the characters are like so overpowered, like they're literally just demolishing everyone.
Right.
And like that actually goes away pretty fast. So maybe like, even though it's not like an anime, I think a better example of like something that does fall into the trap of like being too jokey and like not really taking it seriously is the Young Justice comic book.
Oh yeah.
That's actually why I prefer the show, is because like the show actually is like, they're very serious about the circumstances.
Right, and it's kind of like also the other thing, and this is, I'm going to compare manga with comic books, like more recent comic books, but with like a show like Jujitsu Kaisen, it develops more over time. Like
Yeah.
it might start off with Yuji being like, okay, I could do this, I can keep this guy back. But then as time goes on, he starts to realize like how harder it is and how bad things can really get.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really true. Like, and that really applies to all the characters, because nobody goes through the exact same thing. Like you see that at first she's like really cocky, but then like very quickly when she's like faced with like a much more powerful like curse, like she's like, oh wow, this is much harder than I expected it to be.
Right, and when you meet her and Megami, you kind of get the impression both of them like to do things on their own. Like that was the joke when Megami first was with Yuji. He was like, "Leave me alone. I'm fine. Just go away."
Yeah, like the Sasuke archetype.
Yeah, but then they learned to be a team, and like that fight scene you were talking about with Nubara and Yuji, the teamwork is what really worked in that scene. Like they finally understood how the way to win this battle is we got to do it together. I got to depend on your strengths and you got to depend on mine.
Yeah. Like that he ends like she ends up being like essentially, while he's like distracting them, becomes like the trump card because of the whole like hard hammer voodoo, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
Like she literally ends up killing the curse by nailing herself, like her arm.
And there's like such a bond that gets created between these three characters, Megami, Nabaru, and Yuji, that like at the end, two of them realize that they gotta protect Yuji.
Yeah, essentially. And like I'll actually go to a different moment that happens like really shortly after, is like when after they're done with the whole fight we were talking about, like the two characters like go on to like look for Megami, and like they see him there lying on the floor like sleeping, and they're like and then he just wakes up and he was like, oh my, and they were both like in that like the whole animated skit fashion, like, oh my gosh, we were so worried, thank God you're alive.
Like, we thought you were dead.
Hands, like,
and he's like, I'm not dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's kind of like, I don't know if maybe they're starting to realize where the end game is with Yuji once they get all these fingers.
You know what? I don't think they have realized it, because like I actually don't think like
I might be jumping ahead.
But well, for the anime, I don't think they have realized it. I don't remember Gojo ever like telling them about what was going to happen to Yuji.
Well, I think kind of like Megami, that was one of the things why he was conflicted with himself on why he saved Yuji, was he did realize that he saw him eat the finger, and he knew what the finger was going to do.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. Like he didn't know that Yuji was going to be able to control it. Like,
right.
That was a huge, complete surprise to him.
Yeah, and I think that's what surprised everybody. And I think this is going to play into later with maybe more reveals about Yuji. But that what you also bring up here is the secondary characters aren't just in the background.
Yes, the Jujutsu Kaisen is an ensemble. Like that's how.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing I really like. I tend to really gravitate to like shows, comic books, and manga that are ensembles. Like they're not solely focused on one character. Like yeah, some one character can have like more my like one character can be the lead, but like I
Hmm.
really like it when it's like they're really they truly like embrace the ensemble. Like the other characters will like have moments where they are just as important.
Right. They don't have them kind of like they're in the background and don't. And sometimes I feel like they'll just bring them in for a moment when they really need them and then put them back to the background.
Yeah, I get what you mean. That happens. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of shows fall into that trap.
Right. Like they only walk in to be like that comic relief for that 5 seconds they needed that to break the tension in the room or something. or or they're the one who suddenly will give them advice on something and then that's the most you get out of them for the entire episode. Everybody here plays a part in what's going to happen or what we don't know what's going to happen, but you have that impression that every single character is important to the next step.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely do. That, that's in Jujutsu Kaisen in Zero. Like what I saw, like how it ends, you definitely get that Yuta, the main character there, is definitely
Hmm.
going to be really important going into season 2.
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil that for you, but yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Though
things get
what
really
kind of
heavy.
yeah what although I fall into the unfortunate trap where it's like because like this happens to me a lot is like sometimes when I'm watching a show like reading a comic, like there are things like that happen that I don't entirely understand, so I go like online to research
Hmm.
it, and then like I accidentally end up spoiling myself.
Right.
Like and I'm like, gee, I didn't know that it was such a big that would have led to such a big plot thread. And like that actually,
Yeah.
yeah, like I went to look up with what was it, Rika? Like the curse with Utah.
Hmm.
I went to look up something about like her. I think yeah, I was trying to look up what age she was, like when she like kind of like spoilers, she dies eyes. And I ended up finding out that nope, yeah, she's actually gonna show up later in the story as well. Like she comes back.
Yeah, you're gonna kind of go into like this next arc, and I guess we can start wrapping it up with this. But the next arc is going to be very dark. It's going to be kind of
Yeah,
it's going to be more of an eye opener for everybody involved, especially Yuji and people that they depended on, who they kind of viewed as being a safety net and invincible. Then find out that what they're facing is. I'm trying not to spoil it.
it's okay. Like I'm pretty like like when it comes to spoilers, I'm pretty ill about it. Like there don't like if it's an element like I really don't want to know, like I'll straight up tell you. But like
Yep. People they seen as indestructible suddenly become destructible. That's the best way I'm going to put it.
yeah, I kind of get what you're saying with that.
And
That
they recognize the power and things get out of control and it takes an effect on everybody. Plus it reveals a lot about different people. What we were saying earlier about some people's backgrounds that they're not even aware of. We end up becoming the first to know before the character even knows.
interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get really. So I don't know, do you have any predictions for the future of this? I could tell you. I could tell if you're going in the right direction or not.
Like aside from that, like I'm not sure what my predictions are. Like having seen the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, I know that Utah is gonna feature
Yes.
but like and aside from my like predictions with Yuji, I'm not necessarily sure like where they're going. Like kind of like as we said, like you're with Jujutsu Kaisen, they're really good at like setting things up without you even noticing.
Right. Like they haven't really revealed where I'm at. They haven't really gotten into too much spoilers about Yuji. I'm still kind of feeling like there's more to his story, but there is some they do reference back a lot to Zero,
Yeah,
and they even
yeah,
go
that's
further back
part
than
of
that.
yeah that's why I jumped at the opportunity when and the movie and it was coming out because I didn't want it to and end up being like Demon Slayer, where it's like I sort of like missed Demon Slayer in theaters.
Yeah.
There's at the moment I didn't know that they were gonna do a whole recap arc.
Yeah.
I was so pissed when that happened because like literally I had bought the movie, seen it, and then the next week they announced the recap arc, and I was like, oh my god, I just wasted my money.
I don't know why they did that. That was just like
Like it's so strange because like Demon Slayer made billions of dollars. Like billions of people literally watch the movie. I'm pretty sure anyone who's watching it is gonna know what's gonna happen because
yeah. It was kind of a strange choice. I thought they would just jump right into where it would pick up after the movie.
yeah, like because that's what they were promoting. Like they were promoting the entertainment district arc, like up to up to that point, like and then surprise bait and switch.
I know, and it was like, no.
Yeah, though.
Well, King KDI just wants to let you know. Oh, cool. Here's a spoiler. There are great fights coming up. I mean, great. And yes, he is correct. There is. But I can only tell you from the manga aspect. I can't wait to see them animated.
Yeah, yeah, I can't wait to see like that's one part of like the good what I like so much about shonen anime is like you can see things like the action scenes like you see them in the manga, but then there's like an
Mhm.
entirely different effect, like almost like a greater effect that you experience when you see it in the anime. Like the but like because I have gotten to this part of the manga, like the fight between Mai and Maki,
Mhm.
be like this is where I left off. Like compared to the anime, it's sort of like the manga is kind of like minuscule in this part. All right, whereas the anime like they go full out. Like the anime actually lengthens a lot of the fight scenes. Like
Right. And the detail on them was amazing. It's almost like they had people actually doing like green screen fight scenes and then they animated over them.
yeah, yeah, that's actually something I really like. Is that, like a lot of the effects kind of look like they were drawn with ink pen,
Mhm.
and like as someone like I I I have like sort of like background, like I've taken like a lot of art classes, so I'm a bit more aware of like what types of like styles that they try to emulate. Like in Jujutsu Kaisen, I can see like a lot of the animation they're trying, oh, like they try to make it sort of emulate the appearance that it's drawn with ink pen.
Right. It's kind of like with Demon Slayer. They do like that classic Japanese art style with certain moves in there. It looks like it's coming
Yeah,
right off the painting.
yeah, like the breathing techniques.
Mhm.
it's like where it looks like those like a traditional Japanese painting.
Right.
It's very similar in this, though, like not necessarily to that. I want to say
Right.
it's
No,
done to
this
a
is
lesser extent.
right. This is more like detailed fight scenes. Like they studied somebody doing it and they made sure to make it look as accurate as possible when they're fighting.
Yeah, I believe they do. Like Mappa actually did, like the studio who works on Jujutsu Kaisen, they actually did that for one of their other shows, God of High
Oh,
School.
okay. Okay.
Also, I would not be surprised if they also did that with Jujutsu Kaisen because the action is really well choreographed.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look cartoony. It looks like very sophisticated, like I guess that's the right word to use. And it's just like watching their fight scenes. It's just awesome.
Yeah, especially the one with my favorites are definitely the Mai Maki Odo and Yuji versus Hinama. I think that's the plant curse.
Yeah.
Curse and of course at the top is the one Yuji and Nobara versus like the curse with the no, are those the overalls he was wearing? Like I literally can't tell.
Um was it the one was the one arm or something and the bandage? Is that the one we're talking about?
Yeah, it's the one at the end where like where I talk about
Oh.
like Nobara like hammering nails into herself to
Yeah,
defeat
those are the
that.
ones who are like half human.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
one's my favorite out of the entire one. Like literally when they had like the Crunchyroll awards and I saw that was nominated, I literally voted for that one. Like no
Those were
question.
great.
I was like, click.
It's like you get this like you're on the edge of your seat watching some of these fights going, "Oh my god, what are they going to do next? How are they going to get out of this one?"
Yeah, that's how I like my action anime. Like when the fight is literally on the edge of your seat. It's like this is one you should definitely check out if you haven't already. Fate.
Yeah.
Fate is it's done by the same studio as Demon Slayer, Ufotable. Oh, the
Okay.
action in Fate is incredible.
I think my brother's watching that. I have to watch it.
Yeah,
I have like access to a whole bunch of anime. I think I've been mostly watching anime now.
me too. Like I'm trying to. My friend has been like really trying me to get to Peacemaker, and I do want to watch it.
Mm.
However, I have like this entire list of anime I need to watch
That's like
because of like videos. It
that's
was
like
like
me
I
with
had
manga
plans,
and anime.
so it's like you know what
List.
I'll watch it. Like I'm definitely planning on, but first let me finish what I have because as if I keep layering up this, I'm never gonna get to
I know.
like new stuff.
I'm waiting for my app to say, "Are you going to actually watch everything in your queue?" like, like I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, that's part of why like I mostly like to watch my anime on like Netflix, since literally no matter what plan you get, no
yeah.
commercials. You just binge right through it.
What am I watching on there right now? Is Comey Can't Communicate. That's a good one. I just don't like the English dub that much on that.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually yeah. English dubs, like I will admit, I'm mostly an English dub person,
Same
and
here.
although sometimes like for I think it depends on the dubbing studio. Like if it's like censorship, it like Funimation's been kind of doing it recently. Like I've seen the whole clip of the Kobayashi's Dragon Maid and the whole patriarchy thing that was not in the original.
Oh yeah, it's like that's what they also did like in Comey Can't Communicate. Like first off, the one thing that irritates me with the English dub on that is the one who does the narrative to explain what Comey is thinking sounds very robotic.
Yeah.
And then they have a character in there who kind of like I'm dating myself, but if you ever remember that Saturday Night Live skit, Who is Pat? this character, I'll explain. This character kind of like goes back and forth between being a boy and a girl, like dresses like a girl, but one of the other characters always had the impression it was a boy, but then tells him, no, I'm a girl. And then when it's in another situation, tells him I'm a boy. They use the pronoun thing with them.
Yeah, pronouns really don't bother me too much.
It's
though they are hard to like do in anime.
Yeah, that's it's kind of like
Japan
weird.
literally
Like,
has a bunch of pronouns like that they use in different situations, so it's hard to like translate them, especially
yeah.
You see
So
this in
it kind of
Hunter x
comes
Hunter
off
a
weird.
lot.
It comes off kind of weird when the narrator is explaining this character with Komi, and you're kind of like, what? So what is it right now? It's like, it's almost like they don't know. Whoever's doing the translation doesn't know what to call this character. So just use the character's name. You know?
Yeah, that's what I think, like, you kind of saw that a little bit with Hunter x Hunter, like during the Comic Era and arc. One of the characters is I heard the anime kind like both dub and sub sort of like had trouble like explaining what the character's gender was supposed to be. Little did we know they ended up being non-binary.
Well, and that's the thing is, they're not explaining if this character is non-binary or whatever, and then they kind of like go back and forth between the two, and I'm like, okay.
They're not. Yeah, it gets pretty confusing, but that's not the case with Jujutsu Kaisen. The dub is actually very strong.
I like the dub. It's one of the few with the dub I like very much. I think they cast the voices really well.
I was about to say the exact same thing. The cast is really well. They match the personalities very well. Like I know like going into the anime, I knew some of the actors, like Robbie Amon, who's the voice of Megami. He was, I believe, he was the voice of Amaru in Sailor Moon, in Tuxedo Mask, and Gojo. His voice, Kanji Tang, I believe that's his name, and he was the voice of Archer in Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works.
Okay.
Ironically, his character also had white hair in that show.
Yeah, they do a great job with the casting on this with the dub, and I can't wait for the next season. I really want to see how most of these things I've read already in the manga. I want to see how they're going to play out in live action, because it's going to be something else. And we might have to come back and talk about that when season 2 finally comes out.
For sure.
Oh my god. But I do want to tell everybody, check out Dan on his YouTube channel. Links down below. I'm going to be back again on Monday for Manga Monday reviews. I'm going to review finally the Deadpool manga, and I'll give you my thoughts on that. Dan, what do you have coming up?
Currently, I'm working on a couple videos. Like my next video is my review of Evangelion, like Rebuild of Evangelion, the reboot movies.
Okay.
Movies, and after that, I'm gonna have a Young Justice video.
Oh, nice. So we definitely have to get back together to talk about more Jujitsu Kaisen in the future, because things are going to get interesting. And I do appreciate you coming on the channel, and I want to thank everybody who came. Don't forget to hit that like button, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys later. And have a good day. Bye.
Bye.